What's up guys? Today I thought I'd do a video on the Century Arms C308. Now, this rifle is built off of surplus set me parts and has a PTR upper receiver. So this rifle has a fluted chamber, which aids in the reliability, but it will mark up your brass. I tried a whole bunch of different brands through this firearm and it functioned flawlessly with all of them. Now say what you want to about Century Arms firearms, this one has proven itself to be very reliable and accurate, but it does have its faults, the biggest of which is the trigger. It has a 12-pound trigger. Now you notice it when you bench rest this firearm or when you're trying to get accurate shots off. Man, it has just such a length of pull. Now, one really cool thing about this rifle is up on top, it has a rail, which allowed me to put my buddy's scope on this firearm. He had a Bobro quick detach scope mount, and we were able to put it on this rail. The rifle seemed to be very accurate, but it did have some flyers, and I attribute that 100% to the trigger. I can't tell you how many times after the shot I'm like, ooh, I jerked that trigger. So I looked online for replacement triggers and the only thing I could find was for $200 and it was a 6-pound trigger. Now I may just be spoiled by AR-15 triggers because for 200 bucks I can get me a Timney trigger that's 3 pounds for 200 bucks versus a 6-pound. That's like a crappy AR-15 trigger for this thing. So it's kind of turned me off ever getting one. I mean, it probably is a must-have for anybody who's going to shoot this thing a lot, but it seems very overpriced to me. Man, that trigger sucks! So back to the accuracy. It is a pretty accurate firearm if you can overcome the trigger. I think the best group I had, I don't know if I documented it, was an inch group at 100 yards. Sights that come with this thing, it has 4 adjustments. The 100 yards, which I'm not a big fan of, it's just an open sight. And then there's the 200, 300, and 400 yards adjustments. I haven't ever taken this thing out to 400 yards, and with this trigger I don't think I would dare to, but I bet this thing could do pretty well because we were having some good accuracy out of it. Now, it has a chevron muzzle brake on the end, and it makes this rifle such a flat shooting gun. There's a couple times I was rapid firing this thing, and there's just no muzzle rise to it. Alright, so I've never actually loaded up a full magazine, and I still have it because Alex did it for me. But this is a full 20-round magazine. I've never actually rapid fired the whole thing before. So, whew, she's gonna get toasty by the end of this. Yep. All right. Whew. She runs great. When you start rapid firing this firearm, it gets hot fast. Okay, so I'm gonna actually have to hold it a little bit more back here. Oh no, I can't hold it there. Yeah, it's hot pretty much everywhere around here. I can grip it for a short amount of time. This isn't as stable, but it's the only way I'm gonna be able to hold this thing now. All right, I'm just gonna have some fun. The safety on this is a little bit tricky to get used to. Flipping it down from safe isn't that bad, but trying to put it up on safe is a little bit uncomfortable. It's just all about getting used to it. The same thing with the charging handle. So to cycle this firearm, you first have to pull out on this charging handle, which disengages the rollers and allows the bolt to be pulled back, and it's still very stiff. Now, I've gotten more used to this firearm and I can do it very easily, but it is really far out there. When you're shouldering it and you try to hit it, it's way out there. And for me, it's not that bad, but Anybody with shorter arms might find it a reach, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. And then you can lock it up like that, just like an MP5. You can do the HK slap and let it cycle home. Oh, it's not bad at all laying down. So the lower receiver is made out of plastic, and I really don't like it. I love the look of an all-metal gun, especially on the G3s or this copy, the C308. I really don't like the way it looks. It functions fine. I've not had any performance issues because it's made out of plastic, but I'm not a fan of it. Now, I looked up online to see if I could find a pinned lower receiver, because a standard full auto receiver will not fit on this rifle. It has to have a shelf on it. And so far, I've not been able to find any. They're all sold out everywhere. And I'm actually having a hard time finding even the full auto lowers. So maybe it's drying up, I don't know. But if I ever get a chance, I am definitely replacing that with a metal lower, because it just makes it look nicer. Ow, the handguard's getting hot. I thought that was 10. Another thing I don't like about it is the mag release. Now, it's located right here, and I found if you take your whole hand and just hit that mag release with your middle finger, you can get it out pretty easily. But if you try to use your index finger, you have to really reach, and it is so uncomfortable. So I try to hit with my middle finger. It's not hard to load it into the rifle. Actually, I think these magazines are pretty easy to load into the rifle. But I really wish it had the standard paddle release that the G3s have. Now, I looked into getting one, and you can buy the parts kit really cheap, but in order to do it legally, you have to have a half pin that goes through here, and then you put the release on, and then you weld over the pin. Well, I don't have access to a welder. Otherwise, I would get a full auto lower and weld the shelf in myself. But I don't have access to a welder, and I don't know anybody with a welder, so I can't even get that done. So I'm pretty much stuck. So there is a lever you can buy that requires no modification to your rifle. The thing is, it's $80. I mean, it's about the same amount of material as the extended bolt release on the AR-15, which go for $20. It is so overpriced, and it doesn't even look that comfortable to me. Disassembly is very easy. You just push out these two pins. What's really cool is located on the buttstock is two holes for the pins to be held in place while you're taking your gun apart. You take the buttstock off, hinge the lower receiver off of it, and take the bolt out. That button's just awful, isn't it? One really cool thing about this rifle is the magazines are cheap. Now, I have noticed they've gone up in a couple places, but I bought this magazine for $3, and it's a very good magazine. But we did have one issue. Right here, you can see material was taken off, and for some reason, the mag release, or the mag catch, I should call it, was rubbing right here, and it kept taking off material. All right, so the mag seems to be working just fine. Not the prettiest looking rounds, are they? All right, this is gonna be fun. For a $500 gun, I bought this for $500. It's accurate, it's reliable, it doesn't have a great trigger, but it is overcomable. It also has a rail on top for any optics that you want. For $500, what more can you ask from a rifle like this? So I love it, and I'm very thankful that I bought it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned, there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff coming up in the future.